Hello everyone. In yesterday's class, we had seen about the mobility management, the different RAN procedures, and about the paging. Today, we'll look into inter-cell interference or ICI coordination. So, in cellular networks, each user equipment suffers inter-cell interference due to frequency reuse in other cells. Conventional cellular networks by design are interference limited. That is, if they were not, it would be possible to increase the spectrum efficiency by lowering the frequency reuse or increasing the average loading per cell. To meet the spectrum efficiency, LTE will be deployed with universal frequency service. That is, same spectrum is used in each cell. This will cause high level of inter-cell interference, especially for user equipment at the cell edge. LTE also has a mandate to increase cell edge throughput. Therefore, ICI control techniques must be applied. So, in this section, we mainly discuss about ICI mitigation techniques for both uplink and downlink transmission. So, this ICI suppression through base station coordination or network MIMO is also applicable. So, the main objective is to meet the spectrum efficiency. The drawback of channel is it will lead to high intercell interference. So, intercell interference minimization can be achieved through base station coordination or through network multiple input, multiple output. This minimization techniques is mainly used for both uplink as well as downlink. So, first we'll see how it is applied to the downlink. So, when we consider in the downlink, there are three basic approaches to mitigate this intercell interference. The first one is intercell interference randomization. So, this is achieved mainly by scrambling the code word after channel coding with PR sequence, that is pseudo-random sequence. So, with cell-specific scrambling, that is scrambling is cell-specific. If the cell is specific scrambling, ICI, that is inter-cell interference from neighboring cell, is randomized and then interference suppression is achieved. So, without scrambling, the channel decoder might be equally matched to interfering signal as to desired signal on the same radio resources. ICI randomization has been applied in systems such as UMTS. The second one is ICI cancellation. So, if a user equipment is able to decode the interfering signals, that is from neighboring cells, and it can be regenerated and then subtract them from the desired signal. So, this can be achieved with a multi-user detector at the user equipment. To decode the interfering signal from the neighboring cell, the user equipment needs to know its transmission format, which is not available as the user equipment cannot decode the PDCH from the neighboring cell in case of this particular ICI cancellation. So, disadvantage, we can say that the user equipment cannot decode the PDCH from the neighboring cell and it does not know the transmission format of the neighboring cell. So, ICI cancellation can also be performed in the spatial domain as well. So, linear spatial interference cancellation with statistical knowledge of interference channel is a practical option for ICI cancellation, but application in the downlink is limited by the capability and the number of antenna at the user equipment, which is given here. The third approach is ICI coordination or avoidance. So, this is achieved by applying the restrictions to the downlink resource management in a coordinated way between the neighboring cells, where it is based on schedural implementation at E node B. So, this restrictions can be on time or frequency resources or transmit power used at each E node. So, it requires additional inter-E node B communication and user equipment measurements and reporting. Now, here we have to mainly focus on ICI coordination or avoidance, which is more advanced technique and requires additional signaling. This particular ICI coordination or avoidance can be either static ICI coordination or avoidance, or it can be semi-static ICI coordination or avoidance. Here with a different inter-enode communication requirement and different performance. Coming to the first one, that is static ICI coordination or avoidance. This is mainly done during cell planning and does not require or does not need frequency reconfiguration. As an example is static fractional frequency reuse, or what we call as FFR. So static coordination strategy, it requires no or little inter-enode signaling, but there is performance limitation as dynamic characteristics such as cell loading, or it doesn't consider cell loading or user distributions. That is the next one, semi-static ICI coordination or avoidance. This requires reconfigurations on a time scale of the order of seconds or longer, and E-node B or inter-enode B communication over X2 interface is needed. So the information exchanged between the neighboring cells, E-node B, can be transmission power or traffic load on different resource blocks. By considering such information at neighboring E-nodes, this ICI separation is more sufficient or more efficient. Now, ICI coordination or avoidance is mainly a scheduler implementation issue at the E-node B. To assist such coordination or to assist such technique, the LTA system defines E-node B power restriction signaling in the downlink using a relative narrowband transmission power or RNTP indicator that is exchanged between E-node B over X2 interface. Each bit of the RNTP indicator corresponds to one PRB, that is physical resource block. It indicates maximum transmitted power on that physical resource block. Based on the RNTP indicators from the neighboring cell, each E-node B improve the performance of user equipment in its own cell by scheduling and power allocation. So this figure which is shown here, it is the simple example of power pattern in 3. So considering the neighboring cells, we will be able to indicate that how the power pattern of 3 neighboring cells compared to the possible downlink levels of 3 neighboring cells can be seen. Edge users in each cell would be allocated to higher power levels. The next one what we have is with respect to uplink. So in the uplink also it is having 3 or for uplink also we have certain basic approaches. The first one what we have is ICI randomization. Now similar to downlink, ICI randomization in the uplink is achieved by scrambling the encoded symbols prior to modulation. Instead of cell-specific scrambling which was used in the downlink, user equipment specific scrambling is used in the uplink as ICI comes from multiple user equipment in the neighboring cell. The second one is ICI cancellation. It is more applicable in the uplink than in the downlink, as E-node B has a higher computational capability and usually more antenna elements. Third one is uplink power control, where power control is an efficient way to suppress this ICI in the uplink. So fractional power control, which is FPC, is used in LTE. Fourth one is ICI coordination or avoidance. So similar coordination techniques will similar to the downlink can be applied for the uplink, such as FFR. Now next is to assess this uplink ICI coordination, 2 messages are defined in LTE that can be exchanged over X2 interface between E-nodes for power allocation and user scheduling. That is interference overload indicator and high interference indicator. Overload indicator indicates physical layer measurement of the average uplink interference plus noise for each physical resource block, based on which eNode Bs can adjust uplink power to suppress the intercell interference. Whereas high interference indicator indicates which PRB will be used for cell edge user equipment in a certain cell. Neighboring cells may then take this information into consideration when scheduling their own users to avoid high interference. Coordinated multi-point reception. Similar to the downlink here also, it will be developed for uplink in LTE Advanced. It means that the coordinated reception at multiple eNode Bs of transmitted signals from multiple geographical separated user equipment in different cells. So comparing to the downlink, uplink coordinated multi-point reception is expected to have a very limited impact on the radio interface specifications, as the uplink schedule is performed at the eNode B. Coordinated intercell scheduling is applied to control the intercell interference. Now this completes the module 5 of this particular wireless cellular network. Now overall in this chapter we have seen or we have described higher layer protocols and mobility management, intercell interference coordination in LTE. So we had seen EPS bearer, which was the central element for the quality of service control in LTE. Each bearer is associated with a QCI and which indicates its priority, packet delay budget, acceptable packet error loss, and GBR or non-GBR classification. So we can see from starting, just to revise it once again. So this was what I was telling about. Okay. Then we had studied about the layer 2 protocol. So this was the EPS bearer service. Then we spoke about the layer 2 protocol of LTE stack, which is split into PDCP, RLC, as well as MAC sublayers. The main function of this PDCP sublayer included header compression, then which was used for plain data, integrity, protection of control plane data, ciphering and integrity delivery, and duplicated elimination. So which this was actually the PDCP function. After the PDCP functions, we saw header compression. Then after the header compression, it is integrity and ciphering. Then it was RLC sublayer, which performs segmentation or concatenation on PDCP PDUs and reorders the RLC PDUs that are received out of order. MAC layer performs multiplexing, demultiplexing between logical channel and transport channels. LTE, which was applied a two-layer retransmission scheme, where we studied a fast HARQ protocol with low overhead feedback in the MAC layer and a highly reliable selective repeat ARQ protocol in the RLC layer. Next, we saw there were two modes, which was in the RRC state. So this was all the PDU header and RLC data formats. Okay, that's one. So here we saw two RRC states, RRC ideal and RRC connected, compared to 4 RRC states in UMTS. RRC protocol, which mainly included functions such as broadcast of system information, RRC connection control, and measurement configuration and reporting. After this, we saw about the mobility management, where intra-LTE mobility and inter-rack mobility, where intra-LTE mobility can happen either over S1 interface or over X2 interface, while inter-rack mobility happens over S1 interface. In the RRC idle state, the mobility control was handled by the user equipment, whereas RRC connected state, the eNode controls mobility or handover of user equipment. We saw different phases in each of the states. Then we saw about inter-cell interference, which we discussed today, which is important for cell edge throughput. Different interference mitigation techniques are also available, including interference randomization, interference cancellation, interference coordination or avoidance. So LTEs define specific messages to assist interference coordination, RNTP indicator for downlink coordination, and OI, which is called as overload indicator, as well as high interference indicator for uplink coordination. So this completes the module 5. Thank you.